So one thing I like to do on this channel a lot is meet up with other content creators and just have discussions about their content that I find interesting. And the other day I came across a video by a channel named Baseball Historian, and it was about Bernie Williams, who's one of my favorite all-time players. He was so graceful. He was a switch hitter. He did so much for that late 90s and early 2000s dynasty that I just feel like he deserves more love. And I was so happy to see that a younger fan was giving Bernie Williams so much attention and so much deserved respect. So I invited him on the show to talk about his project, to talk about baseball content in general. Here's Dylan from Baseball Historian. 7 videos, 3,720 some odd subscribers so far. That is impressive.
Thank you.
I got addicted after I came across your video called The Secret MVP about Bernie Williams, one of my favorite all-time players going up. But your video was excellent. How did you get interested in talking about Bernie Williams, and what was your thought process as you were making this video?
I grew up kind of after that late 90s run. My first World Series that I actually remember for the Yankees was in 2009. So by that time, Bernie Williams had already retired, or, you know, he didn't officially retire until later, but he had stopped playing baseball. And by the time I really started getting into the Yankees and baseball, it was mostly the focus on the core four and, you know, Jeter, Rivera, Pettit, Posada. And I knew Bernie Williams was a good player, but I never really got the sense that he was anything more than that until these past few weeks. I was doing research for this series I was starting on this channel called Baseball Dudes, which it's just kind of a fun way to talk about players who were better than average, but maybe not over the course of their careers good enough to be Hall of Fame level.
Hall of Very Good.
Yeah, basically. I started looking into Bernie Williams because I thought, hey, he seems like a perfect candidate for this. And when I started looking into his stats and just his impact that he had had on the Yankees during his peak, I was really blown away by just how valuable a player he was during that time. From, you know, the mid 90s when that championship run started until around 2002, 2003, he was, at least by WAR, off of Baseball Reference, the most valuable player on the Yankees, beating out Jeter, Rivera, Pettit, Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez, some of those guys who have gotten a lot more attention outside of the Yankee fan universe. But I do know that among Yankees fans, he does get a lot of the respect that he deserves, but I thought he needed more in the baseball world in general.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I mean, I knew he was very good. He was one of my favorite players. And when you're coming up, you maybe look at the stats that are relevant for your time, right? I knew he was a batting champion. I knew he hit 339. You know, he was always a high 20s home run guy. You know, he would switch hit. He'd have over 100 ribbies. But I just went back and looked at his OPS from 1998, which was the Yankees' best season during that era. And he had a 997 OPS and came in 7th for the MVP voting. And he also won a Gold Glove that year. That tells you the type of player he was. And for people who didn't get maybe to watch Bernie Williams, he was just so graceful out there. He didn't need to make the diving catch that often because he was standing under it. He had incredible sprinting speed. And it's just those little fine details, such as taking a close pitch in a close game and getting a better pitch to hit. Those are the things that he did well that maybe people who only watch the highlight reels or only look at the stats might have missed. So I'm so glad that you gave some love to Bernie Williams. And I got to say, your growth as a content creator has been exponential. It's been really impressive. How did you get into doing video work?
During last summer, you know, baseball had been canceled for the foreseeable future, you know, from March until we didn't know if we were getting a season up until like the end of June. I was just kind of sitting around my house, you know, couldn't go outside really. And I had MLB Network on basically all day. And if you watch MLB Network during the off season, obviously there's no games. So what they do is just basically play Ken Burns baseball documentary
on
repeat, you know, for months, and I would just sit there and I'd have that on in the background, and it was kind of almost like a morphine drip where I could like just have it on and kind of, you know, tune everything else out and watch all these people who love baseball talk about growing up and seeing Ted Williams or Mickey Mantle or even Reggie Jackson like play and the development of the game. And I thought, you know, there's all this talk about baseball is dying and young kids and, you know, people aren't getting into baseball like they should. And I'm watching this and I'm wondering, you know, how can you see a sport like this and not love it? There's a lot of opportunity for growth for the baseball community and potential baseball fans on YouTube and on the internet in general. And I was seeing what creators like Foolish Baseball has been doing for baseball statistics, and John Boy Media, all those guys are great. They've been doing a lot for just, you know, the current MLB situation and the breakdowns and their podcasts and everything. And I thought there's a space for this for baseball history. I started working on the channel in July of last year, right when baseball was coming back, and got my first video out, the 3-team game. Exactly.
Yeah.
We were trying to raise funds for war bonds to support, you know, the war. And Major League Baseball got in on it, had this promotion where they would have all 3 New York teams, which at that time it was the Brooklyn Dodgers, the New York Giants, and the New York Yankees, play each other in one game. And I was reading about that and thought, oh, this would be a great story to tell. So I did a lot of research into that and kind of put it all together in telling it from the conception of the idea to the execution, and kind of connected it to how weird last season was with, you know, you didn't have any fans in the stands. Some stadiums had cardboard cutouts in the bleachers, and just how strange it was, and how sometimes the circumstances around the game, you can't control that. And it's best to, you know, make the best of what's happening. And I think I ended the video with the phrase, embrace the weird.
Yes.
Basically, you know, you take what you've got and make the best of it. And I think that's what they were able to do with baseball last year. And hopefully this year we can get back to some normal, but I appreciate it either way.
I was actually watching the 10th inning Ken Burns, which is like this supplemental epilogue about like the early 90s or the late 90s Yankees team, or maybe it was the early 2000s. And I just remember thinking, hey, I can do that. And in the next day, I think I made my first video. So yeah, I mean, it's just weird how Ken Burns is such an inspiration to creators. Yeah. He's the best to ever do it in terms of documentaries.
I wanted to shout out Sad Man Baseball. Okay. I think he does some of the best work, not just in the baseball YouTube community, but just in terms of YouTube videos and videos in general. He gave me a shout out early on in my channel, and I wanted to, you know, repay the favor because he, I think, has a criminally low number of subscribers right now. And then Jolly Olive, Baseball Quotes, Sports Storm, PTBNL, Retro Baseball, and No More Fielders were the other ones that I wanted to give shout outs to. So
keep up the good work, man. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel.